Jeff Goodman now with us, ESPN television. He was on the sidelines last night. I had people tweeting at me to text Goodman to get Jordan Woodards' name right, to tell that play-by-play man on ESPN News to get Jordan Woodards' name right. Did you get any of that on Twitter?
I told them at halftime. I think they got it corrected, hopefully the second half. But, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to know
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I cover it. This is all I do. A lot of the play-by-play guys, they're bouncing around different sports. They don't know every player on every team. So it's not so easy, especially for the, listen, Oklahoma's, they're not as high profile. I mean,
sure.
They're a very good team. But Jordan Woodards not exactly a household name, so he got it wrong.
How would you, before we get to the game itself, can I just ask you, how would you determine best conference? How do you determine best conference? A lot of people say it's Big 12, but I don't know if there. I mean, is there? Can you count somebody as best conference if you don't know if they've got a legitimate championship threat? I guess.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, listen. You look through it and you say, all right, who in the Big 12 is going to win it all? I don't know, but I'll say that there's probably a handful of teams that I think have a chance to go to the Final Four. The ACC looks stronger, at the top until recently when Duke lost 2 games in a row. So, we thought Duke number 2 team in the country as recently as a couple days ago. Now we're questioning that. Carolina's been better lately, but listen, the bottom of the ACC is not very good. And that's where people give the edge to the Big 12 is because right now TCU looks pretty good. And Tech, they're young, but they're still decent. Only 10 teams, and most of them, 8 of them, probably have a shot right now of still being in the equation for the NCAA tournament. So it just depends how you want to figure out your criteria. I don't know which one I'm going with. Honestly, I don't know. I'd like to say it's easy, but it's really not.
Well, what did you make of Oklahoma just getting blasted? I mean, nobody here saw that sort of game coming, especially from a Lon Kruger coach team. Why did it end up that way?
I felt bad for him. Honestly, it was one of those where I kind of wanted to throw out a white towel and just be like, all right, done, game over. Like there's no way. Now, they cut it to 3 late in the first, and then that's when West Virginia went, I think, a 10-0 run to close out the half. The game was pretty much over then. But, just so many turnovers. You can't simulate what West Virginia does. And I remember asking Huggins yesterday before the game, I said, why did you even do this? Why did you go with this? Because they didn't press at all last year. And he said, well, I looked down in the summer and, we just got a bunch of dudes that are the same size of guards, and we're not great at shooting, so we've got to get more shots than our opponent. And nobody else does it. Listen, you used to be in Louisville. They get after you, but then they drop into that zone. West Virginia traps everything. And on the surface, it looked like Oklahoma was well prepared to handle it. 3 guards, Tayshaun Thomas and Ryan Spangler that are 2 pretty good mobile, versatile bigs. But it just snowballed. And I think Jordan Woodard, the problem is right now his confidence isn't where it needs to be. He's really struggled. Isaiah Cousins did make some shots early. And they just return it over. And once it gets into your head, you're playing too fast. You're trying to rush everything. You're making mistakes, and it just snowballs.
Jeff, why don't you think we see that more in college football or college basketball? Because Zach will tell you, I'm a huge tempo, press, trap, up-tempo, early 90s type of college basketball guy. Why don't we see that anymore in 2015?
I think his coaches want to have more control. And a lot of that, I mean, you watch Arkansas right now, and they'll press, and it's kind of an undisciplined press. Huggins is much better. But they'll press, and then you give up too much on the other end. It's kind of creating havoc. VCU does it, and it's able to really work against inferior opponents athletically. But then if you start to play some teams that are just as athletic, just as talented, it doesn't work quite as well. So I think it depends on your personnel as well. You got to have really good athletes. You got to have tough kids that are going to really buy into that philosophy of defending, going to the ball quick, going to the ball hard. They're not going to play a ton of minutes. They're all going to rotate depending on how they play. Their best shooter last night, Jason Page for West Virginia, played like 8 minutes last night. He's their best shooter, but he wasn't guarding, so Huggins didn't play him. So, it works for Huggins and how he plays, how he played at Cincy. Similar. The press is different, but it's a similar style.
Jeff Goodman with us on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline from ESPN. He was on the sidelines last night for Oklahoma and West Virginia. That blowout. God bless him. He had to cover a blowout like that. But now, even better, he is talking to us on his way from Morgantown to College Park, Maryland. And as Todd succinctly pointed out earlier during the show, isn't it wild that you think, that now that drive consists of you going from a Big 12 school to a Big 10 school? Who would have ever thought that?
Yeah, no, and who would have ever thought beyond that this game might have some relevance because Rutgers is coming off that big victory against Wisconsin in which their coach, Eddie Jordan, literally broke down in tears afterwards because, it's his alma mater and it was emotional, and I don't quite get it, but he did. He got emotional. And I guess there's nothing wrong with crying, right? That's what my wife tries to tell me. So,
your tongue is planted firmly in your cheek there. You think that is just a bunch of horse bleep. That you do. I can tell. You think it's a horse bleep.
I wouldn't be crying after a win. I mean, listen, I'd be happy. I'd be happy as hell if I beat Wisconsin. But no, I would not be crying after a regular season victory. Maybe if I won the national title, I'd probably have some tears of joy or whatnot, but not after a regular season. I don't care how bad the program's been.
When has Jeff Goodman gotten the most emotional over anything? Anything? Give me most emotional over something not sad. Anything not sad in the life of Jeff Goodman.
The easy one was my dog. My dog passing away, which is so ridiculous to say that you get more emotional when your dog passes away than maybe when some people pass away. But,
that's true.
Isn't it weird too? You see like those ASPCA commercials, and they're the ones that make you change the channel with the dogs. But you can sit through the Suzanne Summers ones for some reason that have the kids that are starving. It doesn't make any sense that people think that way, but it happens.
The dog always loved me unconditionally. Whenever I come back from a road trip, the dog, no matter what, wanted to give me, kisses. My wife, not always the case.
Yep. And it doesn't talk back. I mean, that's huge. It doesn't talk back.
Exactly. I'm trying to think sad something.
Because it doesn't seem like you're super emotional. I mean, you're digging a guy. You're digging on a guy, which is funny. None of us would. None of us would cry, or most of us wouldn't. You're digging on a guy who's crying after a win in the regular season. So my guess is, and the reason I asked the question is, Jeff Goodman on the regular is not a very emotional guy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like I remember
not now.
20 years ago. Woke up, my stomach was beyond. I didn't know what was going on. Next thing you know, we were living in New York. I'm in the hospital. I don't remember a whole heck of a lot, but my wife tells me some of the screams that came out of me were probably somewhat like screams of pain and probably close to tears.
Holy moly! All right, give me the team out there, and I give you all of college basketball, and you give me the team that is so far the team you didn't see coming, positively or negatively. The team you did not see coming is?
So far, the team I did not see coming, probably Utah as a top 10 team. I just didn't know. Nobody knew this kid. They got a 7-foot freshman from Austria named Jakob Poeltl. And I saw them their first game. They played San Diego State at San Diego State. I was out there. And they have an All-American as well named DeLon Wright, Darrell Wright's brother. Darrell plays in the NBA. And DeLon was terrible that game. He was guarded by his best friend, a kid named Akil Quinn from San Diego State, shut him down. So I walked out of there saying, like, boy, Utah's overrated. Like they're not very good. DeLon can't shoot. Poeltl was good. And they've been terrific since. And they're top 10 right now. They play Arizona, I think, on Saturday in Tucson. And that'll be a big one. If they can beat Arizona, who's got 2 losses, by the way, coming off a bad loss at Oregon State, maybe Utah moves itself into the equation right now for the number one team in the Pac-12, which we never would have thought.
By the way, Oklahoma State, and they lost while you were on the air last night. They lost to Kansas in such a disjointed game with like 70-plus fouls called. But
thank you, Big 12 refs. We appreciate it.
He's always on the refs. What do you make of Oklahoma State, though, on the whole? Is anything jump out at you for our Cowboys audience?
They're doing better than I thought. I mean, LeBron now seems to be, maturing to some degree. They've got some good pieces. I mean, they still got LeBron, Cobbins, one of the best shooters in Forte. I looked at it this year and I said, I don't know. I think this team's going to be a fringe tournament. I don't know if they're going to make it, not make it. Obviously, Travis Ford has a lot of pressure on him. If he can get to the NCAA tournament, that takes a lot of pressure off him, because if he doesn't, at some point, do they talk about buying him out? I mean, that contract, obviously the AD said it last year after the season that he almost wished he hadn't signed for that type of contract extension. The problem is these days, ADs just make stupid decisions. They really do. They don't do their research. Like Mike Anderson got an extension about 2 weeks ago, a week ago even. Middle of the season, has not taken that program to the NCAA tournament. Where is he going? Why do you need to sign him to an extension now, other than, I guess, for recruiting purposes, because people are recruiting negatively against him because he doesn't have a 5-year contract? But I don't get it. These ADs that give the coaches guaranteed money for extensions when they don't have to. There's no where was Travis Ford going to go? Where was he going to go? Nowhere. You didn't need to sign him to that ridiculous contract.
That's true. We were just talking about contracts in the last segment, just like in a different way. But you are right. I mean, like Jason Garrett, the coach of the Cowboys. If Detroit, if the referees don't pick up a flag in the Detroit-Dallas game last week, does Garrett even get an extension, let alone 5 years? It's weird that the fine line that some people have with just we'll just hire. You know what I mean? We'll hire or we'll extend or whatever.
Because they don't do their homework. They don't know the market out there. They're just not plugged in. And the great ADs are. I mean, the really good ADs are plugged in. They're talking to the right people. They're out there. They've got a list of 5 guys ready to go right now if their coach leaves, no matter how much they think their coach is going to stick around forever. You got to be prepared. And again, you got a list of a couple of guys that you don't think you're going to get. Then you got a list of a couple of guys that you know are safe picks, and then probably a few more guys that are right in between. But again, this contract extension thing baffles me, how they ADs have screwed up over and over.
All right, before we let you go, and I just saw we were browsing the internet during the last break, and we saw a message board, and so we decided, okay, we're going to turn this into a game, and we think Jeff Goodman will have fun with it and play along with us, and it may make him uncomfortable, but he'll fight through it. And so we just made just made imaging. Todd is making the imaging as we speak. Go ahead, Todd. Let's play the crappy imaging. Go ahead.
You know him. He's that guy. It's time to get out and check your douche-o-meter.
That's really bad imaging. The douche-o-meter. Scale of 1 to 10. How big of a douche are the following? Guy who asks you for a picture courtside.
No, I'm fine with that because listen, I'm not some celebrity. So to me, somebody asks for a picture, I'm like, hey, somebody actually knows who the hell I am. So I'm good with that.
So what number? So 1?
Give him a 1.
Okay.
All right, I got one for you. Scale of 1 to 10, and I was this guy earlier. Guy that makes the John Goodman joke with you that says, hey, loved you in The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, that's become like an 8 at this point. That's become really old.
Yes.
I am fat. I'm getting fat, but I don't look like John Goodman. And that's a bad one now. I go 8.
Guy who points at the camera while getting a picture taken.
Probably like a 7, 8, somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah, that's pretty damn annoying.
Hold back everybody on the bench guy after a big dunk.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a 10.
Yeah, we got a 10 out of him.
Like it's just so stupid. Why are you going to hold everybody back? You really scared that he's going to jump on the floor and get suspended? Like, who cares? Why? No.
Wearing socks with sandals.
No, that's an 11. That's an 11. That's the worst look of all time. You can never wear socks.
Ooh, okay. All right. How does that compare to popped collar guy?
Who? What is that?
Popped collar. Popped collar.
Oh, pop collar. Yeah, that's. I'm not a big fan of the pop collar. The preppy. I guess that's just the preppy look. Certainly was, years ago. Yeah, that's probably a 9 or a 10.
How about soul patch guy?
So I probably go 7 or 8.
7 or 8.
7 or 8
And finally, before your phone cuts out, 1 to 10 on the douche-o-meter, Andy Katz.
Oh, I love Katz and I get along great. Now that we work together,
Oh yeah, employee.
we were
you
bitter
guys.
rivals.
Yeah, you guys are
We're
petting each
bitter
other's
rivals
heads now.
before.
Yeah, okay then.
Now we.
Well then let's
break
do
bread.
let's do Gary Parrish.
Yeah, Parrish has probably moved up. Like he was a 1 when I worked with him. He's inching up there now. He's probably a 5 or a 6. I mean, it depends how many drinks Parrish has in him at the time.
See you later, Jeff. Thanks for being playful. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
All right,
Take care.
man. All right, Jeff Goodman on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline.
Loved him in that King Ralph movie. Wasn't that him?